All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to The Morning Edge. I'm not calling it face anymore. I'm calling it The Morning Edge. You're listening to The Morning Edge. Take that. Let's before we get into the charts, let me just talk about how I feel about today. Today's consolidation day. Really, that's all today is. We had a pretty big move. By the way, I just sold some Aussies literally at 51 just a moment ago. Just letting you guys know, I'm selling up at these levels. I think that these are levels that I want to be short. I'm going to add at 78 cents if I can get it. I just my fear right now is that it's consolidating and it's not even moving higher. So my fear is that what we're going to see is something that looks like this, right? That's why I've got a little piece right now. I just sold some just a moment ago. But we can't assume that it's going to just break down yet. I think that it's going to eventually break down. But like I said, today is what I feel today is a consolidation day before we have a continuation move later this week. So, whether we do or don't, or whether we just start continuing lower today, that'll be pretty interesting. I just don't think that that's happening. I think that it's going to just going to bounce around for a little bit. Okay. So that also means that you guys should be really careful about getting too carried away, too aggressive today. I think today is a day that you got to just kind of nibble around and, not be completely, bonkers as far as, trying to get directional. So with that being said, let's take a look at, each instrument and really get a good feeling of where things are going. So if you recall, during the week ahead video, I was looking at the euro as maybe dipping down to the 78% retracement and then bouncing. Well, we did that at the open. We actually slid and we didn't quite hit the 78% retracement, but I do feel that this is going to be pretty important support because it was big resistance, right? So that comes in at 120.10 basically. Okay, I think that's going to be key for today. And let's see where we can rally to. So if we do pop, and I would think that the most we're going to see, I think the 618 would be pretty exaggerated. I think a 50% retracement might be more likely. That would be right here at 121.35. You can see previous support should act as current resistance. So 121.35. Okay. And it's a bit of a range. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the sterling. So here's the cable. We just tried to push through those lows. You can see them right there. So maybe this flag pattern looks more like this. I think this is a flag. I think it's going to look like that. So that means that support will be that spike low. Oh, we'll just call it 139 this morning. You notice how I'm removing pretty much everything off of what it used to be bullish against the dollar. I think we're in a range with the dollar. I do think the dollar is actually going to continue to strengthen, but I think for the most part, we're going to be in a range. That might put the euro back at 119, the sterling back at 137, 136, somewhere around there. But anyway, for a rally, like let's say the pound decides to pop, 140.25 might be it. Let's do a high low from the highs. See the 38% retracement comes in at 140.21. So I'm going to write down 140.25. right? That's resistance. Excuse me 1 second. Let's see. Let me make an adjustment here. It's right above those highs. Yeah. Okay. Just in case, we pop up there. That's where I think it's, 38% retracement before a continuation lower. Flat flag will look like this or like that. Something to that effect. Aussie dollar. Okay. So again, I just sold some Aussies like right around here, but it's not too much. I'm a little nervous about getting too aggressively short, as I explained to you. What I think is going to happen is we're going to bounce. So a move back to the 38% retracement would be 78.13, right? 78.13. We might make it all the way up to 78.50 at some point, but let's write down 78.15 is being resistance. Support being, obviously, this is now key because this is the uptrend line, right? So that means this low is critical for bulls to hold. That's 77 cents, right? So the bulls have to hold this. Okay. Kiwi. So very similar to the Aussie, and you can see this is the uptrend line that we're dealing with. That is really critical support. You know what? The best thing that could happen right now for us, this would be like the best thing for us, would be this. Double bottom, extension, and being able to sell it right there. That would, in my opinion, be the best. So, and it's probably more possible with the Kiwi because the Kiwi, remember, has been outperforming. It's been outperforming the Aussie. You can see it in the Aussie New Zealand, right? As we slide down towards channel or triangle support, right? So I think it's more likely that we would get like this double bottom formation in the Kiwi, squeeze us higher towards resistance, and then being able to sell it up here. So that resistance is at, well, I'm going to write down right here, 72. You might as well actually just write down 73 cents because that previous support right there. So 73 cents support is 72.20. And if I sound like my nose and I sniffle a little bit, it's allergy season here. It's been warm and windy, and we got some really crazy wind this weekend. And so everything's kind of growing and everything's being kicked around, and it's just allergy wise. So if I sound like my nose is running, it is. And it probably will be for the next couple of months, just letting you guys know. All right. Dollar Canadian. So, and by the way, we're going to keep that in range. Everything's in range. Dollar Canadian. So ascending wedge breakout point is very key, and that comes in at these highs. No ifs, and, or buts about that right now. Once we get past, we basically closed at that trend line, and I figured today was going to be that day where everybody came in the market all Rick just said, and there will be scorpions. I don't, you know what? That's one of the really nice things. I'm going to knock on wood here. When I we moved from our ranch house. I don't know if I ever told you guys this story, so I'll tell you really quick. So when we first, we bought our ranch house in about 2 miles away, and it was one of those older 70s ranch houses with a huge property in the middle of Scottsdale, which, the property itself was really expensive. But what we wanted to do is rebuild the, rebuild it, make it nicer. It had already been like remodeled, but we wanted to make it a little bit nicer and build out an office and all this stuff. Well, that was like 5 years later. The house hadn't looked any different. My wife has her own company. I get up at 3 a.m. Who has time to, I'm in the front of I was trading, 15 hours a day. It's like, who's got time to work with, construction or, just to make out the plans. And I just didn't have the desire. Anyway, so we went 5 years of untouched house, and then we decided to sell it and then just move, pretty much a lateral move 2 miles away into a more developed neighborhood that's got a, bigger house, less land. But the good news is when we moved here, we moved near friends, and it's been really nice. Actually, I prefer it. There's no scorpions here in this neighborhood, which is, it's pretty awesome. I must say, losing sleep because you are worried that scorpions are going to crawl into your bed. Try it sometime. It's fun. All right. Anyway, dollar Canadian. So I think we should be very well supported on dips here, and we're going to eventually break those highs. So 38% retracement comes in at 126.40, right? And like I said, I think what happened in the market is exactly what everybody came in very bullish the dollar. Then, the market opened and the dollar started to pull back, and everybody who, bought dollars at the end of the week are like, oh, but I actually think the dollar is going to continue. It's just, you're seeing some of that consolidation right now. So a break above 127.40 would be bullish instantaneously. Well, I shouldn't say that. It just, a daily close above 127.40 is extremely bullish, right? That's when you come out of the wedge. That is, I'm pretty sure, and I'm just telling you guys right now, I'm pretty sure that a move above here is going to be my next pattern in play. I'm just saying, I think that's going to be pretty bullish. Ingmar said, I had a scorpion crawl into my bed for 10 years. What? No. Seriously? That's crazy.
You mean a spouse or something?
Yeah, maybe that's it. We have these little, this is what these are. This is what we have. And I know everybody looks at the scorpions and they go, oh, look at the big scorpions. No, these little things are like, they're like, they can squeeze into an area that is like a credit card thinness. And they're really small, and they're extremely poisonous. Like one of my buddies is one of the toughest guys I know. He was out in his garage, and he's got a scorpion issue where he lives. He was running around in the summertime in flip-flops, and he got stung by one, and his leg went numb for like literally 4 days. It's like, wow. Could you imagine? Like your leg is like completely numb for 4 days. And he's a very like tough guy, like one of the tougher people I know. I'm just like, whoa. Anyway, okay. So resistance for the dollar Swiss, 91.60, it's 161% extension. Support is at 90. And by the way, I had a bid in the dollar Swiss, which I still have it actually. I should probably cancel it. I had a bid to buy dollar Swiss when we got to 90.25, and it never hit my bid. And I'm so irritated because we went as low as 90.26 or something. So irritated at that. But I think 90.50 is support, 91.60 is resistance, and 91.60, then 92. That's resistance. Sorry. I'm moving around kind of slow today, Stelios, because I'm not really excited about today. I think today is a consolidation day. It's not a day that, I think it's just consolidation, basically.
I agree.
So I'm not really super excited. Okay. US dollar, Norwegian krona. Notice that we're stopping at the 161% extension, 865, previous support, current resistance. It is, I mean, I'm just going to write this down. It's like the dollar Canadian, 869. That is critical resistance. We turn instantly bullish above that. I think that what's happening here is this. Developing a bull flag formation. So support should be 855. I think you got to buy this one on dips if you get it. Oh, of course. Look at the Dow bouncing. Okay. US dollar, Norwegian krona, US dollar, Mexican peso, pulling back right. I actually bought some more dollar Mexican peso overnight. I got hit on a bid at 2070, but it looks like we could come back a little further. So 618 comes in at 2061. Ultimately, I don't mind owning this one because I think we're going a lot higher. 2105 is resistance, but today, well, you guys know 2085 is big. That's the big resistance. 2085. We've been as high as 2087 on the spike overnight. So I'll write that down. 2070. Wait, is that right? 2079? Is that it? Oh, 2087. Sorry, my bad. 2087. Then 21.05. That is key. All right. And we turn bullish on daily closes above those. So that's where we turn bullish. Dollar yen, 50% retracement. Remember, do you guys remember last week when Dale said this? He goes, oh, look, Blake, that's a 3 drive. He goes, 1, 2. And he goes, yeah, I'm looking for a third drive above, above these highs. And I said, what, to 106.75? That's a 50% retracement. He goes, yeah, that would work. So that's a 3 drive completion. Now, does that mean you should short here? I mean, if yields start coming down, but we're up for debate on whether that's going to be the case or not. I'm going to write down resistance as 106.75 and then 107 because 107 is the 618, 107.03. Sorry. So of you guys can see it, the low here to the spike high here in June of last year, the 618 is just above that. So I do think we're bullish in the dollar yen. You guys, wow, Dow is spiking. Hold on really quick.
Yields dropping too.
Yields dropping. People think that's bullish, right? I mean, apparently.
Yeah.
But I myself, I don't believe that so much. Anyway, going back to what I was going to say about the dollar yen is the dollar yen, I think, is bullish while we're above that broken trend line. So today we could come down to 106.25 and still be bullish. Dollar index. Here we go. So the dollar index, we broke above this triangle, and as I explained to you guys, I think we're going to just be bouncing around for a little bit, but eventually break higher. So currently, let's figure out how far we might be able to go here. I mean, 78% retracements here at 91.20. Support's going to be back down near this. By the time we get there, I'm going to write down 91.20 as being resistance. Screw it. No, I'm not. I'm going to actually just use this previous support. That should act as current resistance. That comes in at 91.65. Support's going to be at 90. And we just got to think of it as a range right now. I know it's kind of a wide range at the moment, but I don't want to be too overly bullish or bearish the dollar at this moment. And you know what? The dollar Swiss actually, I'm sorry, I have to go back to this and say the dollar Swiss is bullish because right now I might think yields are going down, but that doesn't mean that yields haven't been going up strongly. So the dollar Swiss is bullish well above this trend line. I think yields are going to stop going higher, but that's a personal opinion, and that's not what the trend has shown us, at least in recent weeks. Recent weeks was a very explosive move. So, all right. Let's take a look at gold and silver. So gold, now, Stelios, what do you think?
I think we're still in a bull flag in gold, but it could get broken to the downside if the dollar gets off its ass and starts squeezing.
So if yields continue to go higher, gold should weaken, right?
Yes, in the short term, yes.
Okay. So 1760 was key support. This was the support. We broke. We even tried to get up and retest it without, this overnight. 1760 rejected. So now support, 127% extension of this move comes in at 1707. I think while we're below 1760, you have to kind of remain bearish near term. Okay. Near term. Now, the silver market's actually holding up pretty well, but below 76, or actually, you know what? I said 76. I meant 26. Below this trend line is where I actually turned bearish, not necessarily here at 26, but I do think that 26 is going to offer support. So I'm going to write down 28. As you guys remember, 28.44 from last week. 26. 28.40 range, and the reason why 28.40, it's actually 28.44, but is this, you guys don't recall, high, low, right there, 618. I don't know if there's a whole lot to do with it right at this moment. Okay. Bitcoin and S&P. So Bitcoin, I mean, we saw some weakness over the weekend, but we held the 50% retracement. I will reiterate that the 42,000 level in Bitcoin is absolutely critical for bulls to hold. Period. End of story. If we break below 42,000, things are going to go probably a little sideways for the pair or for the instrument. Resistance, probably 52,000, because that's where that spike high was. I think you got to trade the range. If you're bullish, buy it closer to 42,000. If you're bearish, sell it up towards 52,000, and just kind of play this, play that range. But I have to note it as being bullish right now. But I think you can play that range based on your opinion of it. S&P, last but not least. So with the S&P, I think that we are going to eventually break this ascending wedge, but you can see the overnight low. Well, I guess it wasn't the overnight. That was Friday's low. That's going to be really important, is 37.90 resistance. $618, 38.80. 78% retracements at 39.05. Maybe that's more realistic, because that's closer to this trend line. It's closer to, you know, like if we got all the way up there, it would still be carving out a lower high. I just don't know if we're going to reach all the way up there. I'll write it down though. 39.05 is resistance today. Not great resistance, because I think we could actually stall before that. But really key support is 37.90. Period. End of story. 37.90. That is key, because that's the ascending wedge support right here. That's the if we break through that, we are probably going back towards 3,600. That's what I would think. Okay, so here's your bias chart, and I'm going to leave that here because I know Stelios is taking a picture of it. So let me see if we get a couple of questions really quick while Stelios is posting that. Georgie says, Indiana Jones said it. The small ones are the ones you should be worried about. Yes, 100%. They, you know why and this is because I know this information, why the small ones are so poisonous for bark scorpions? Because they're the babies, and they don't understand that one sting will kill their, you know, prey. And so what happens, and it's interesting, when I go out and kill, I used to go out and kill scorpions in my yard, because, you know, the less there were out there, the less chances they were going to come into my house. So you go after the little ones, and their tails go crazy because they're just stinging it like wildly, you know, where the adults will they know one sting will kill whatever they're trying to kill. So if you get stung by a small one, it's because they're multiple stabbing you with, you know, that venom. Anyway,
Nice.
Yeah, isn't that great? You're like, I'm gonna stay in Greece. Thank you very much. You know, there are certain places like the desert where things that, you know, they survive, and you're like, okay, well, you know, you have to be a predator to be able to survive in that type of environment. And that's,
yeah.
Okay, so Georgie asked, could anyone take a look at EUA, the ECF? I don't know, what is this? ECF.
I don't know. EUA emissions. I think he's asked this before. I think Steve had a look at that at some point. ECFZ 2021. So the December contract for this particular, there you go.
Okay.
Because this is emissions futures. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at it. I mean, I've never looked at it, so this is obviously a daily chart.
Looks bullish to me.
What's that?
Looks bullish to me.
It does, but I think it looks near-term bearish.
Near-term, yes, yeah, that top.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that is the RSI is leaning me towards that, and I think this little breakdown in relative strength should allow for maybe a move back down towards maybe 35. I don't know how bearish I'd be right here. While you're, maybe if you're looking to buy it, 35, 35.30, 35.40 is a better place to be long. Ingmar says it's different from the usual 3 drive. The time pattern I see bullish formation in dollar yen that will eventually spin out around 108 levels to the upside. Yeah, I mean, 108 is the 618. I cannot argue that. I can't argue the idea that the dollar yen can make it up towards 108. I think it's very possible. But you need to see the 10-year really needs to make a move, right, Stel?
Yes,
the
yes,
10-year,
yes.
and let's take a look at yields right now.
I mean, the 10-year rejected we were talking about that zone, right? The top end of that zone for days and days, and it rejected exactly there. So obviously did this stop run intraday,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, I don't, what are your feelings on yields here?
I think short term will go lower, but I
So
think it's
you think eventually we're going to break higher. So you think
yes, yes,
you're
yes,
thinking like this.
yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
So what's your reasoning?
Well, I think eventually we're seeing inflation come through in various
Okay.
forms. We already had asset inflation, bonds, stocks, everything's going. Now we're seeing commodities, we're seeing everything. So you can't have inflation rising and yields staying at 1%. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Right. Well, thank you for your thoughts. Ronaldo asked about nat gas. Here's nat gas rejecting at 3. We filled this gap perfectly. I don't know if I'm really too excited about nat gas where we're at currently. I can't say that it looks super exciting because to me it looks like just one big consolidation at this point. Like if I had to, like, just taking a step back, I think I'd look at it like this personally. And we are smack dab in the middle of the triangle. Like, you want to know what nat gas is going to do? Let it break above 315 or break back below 260, and once it does that, then you probably will have a much better idea of what the trend is going to be. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything to do right here. You have any thoughts there?
Me, I mean, natural gas. I don't know actually. I mean, it's going to have to resolve itself one way or another. If oil stays high, and I think that's probably going to break to the upside. But given the global environment, I personally don't see why oil is that high. So I'd be a little bit skeptical about natural gas as well. So.
All right, guys. Jane reminded us that we've got ISM manufacturing data coming up in 10 minutes.
We also have Trufa coming up just after 5. So the other one.
Trufa is coming up here in 10 minutes, right?
Yeah. One last thing I want to actually mention. We had Lael Brainard who said that, and I quote, the stress that emerged in treasury markets may suggest a need for standing repo or other changes. So, it's not enough for the Fed and, the central banks to intervene when there's problems. They want to just keep intervening every single day. So that's the sign of a strong economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
But
it's interesting. It's interesting to see how the Fed members think.
Right.
Anyway, otherwise we covered pretty much everything on face, and you've covered.
Yeah. I just Amir asked, and Hugo also asked about
platinum. Yes,
I was just looking around really quick, and let me pull up the actually CFD that
I think it's similar to gold. If we do get the dollar inching higher, then this is going to break, and we're going to get lower prices for sure.
Yeah, and so I think we mentioned this before the last time we looked at it, the 50% retracement in the uptrend line comes in at the same spot, which comes in around 1145. And, you can see the spike down basically as we are approaching shows you that there's a lot of buyers down there. And so if you broke through 1140 or so in platinum, I don't know if I'd want to be long. And yeah, it's probably very similar to what gold looks like. Probably if just from a trend line and probably a squeeze resistance would be right here about 1240. So it looks like 1140, 1240, 1140, 1240. That's kind of what you deal with right now. All right. So guys, we've got to roll because we've got to let Leandro take over for the Spanish webinar. If you guys are Spanish speakers and you want to listen in, I just retweeted the tweet that just went out. So make sure you guys listen in. And I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you all for your support. Stella, is anything you want to say for everybody?
No, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Hey, have a great one. Remember, today's more consolidation day. Just try not to get too directional. I don't think this is the right day to be, directionally too aggressive. You just, I'm really hoping, like, even though I sold some Aussies, I still hope we drift up towards 78 cents. That's really where I want to be a little bit more aggressive. But, anyway, those are my thoughts. Have a great one, and we'll see you on the daily roundup in a couple hours. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Blake. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Del.